When you think about patient safety in a hospital, your mind probably jumps to sterile instruments or clean air, right? But what if one of the biggest factors, both a risk and an opportunity, is literally the wall right next to you? Today, we're going to look at how these surfaces are being totally transformed from a potential weak point into a powerful wellness tool. So let's just ask the question straight up. Are your walls helping or are they actually harming patient safety? It's a bold question, I know, but it's one we absolutely have to ask. Because in a clinical setting, every single surface matters. And the reality is, the traditional walls in so many facilities might not just be failing to help, they could be creating risks that are hiding in plain sight. And it all boils down to this one core concept: surface integrity. See, to really support infection prevention, a wall has to be completely smooth, totally intact, and perfectly cleanable. The second that surface starts to peel, crack, or fail in any way, it stops being an asset and becomes a serious liability. This is the foundation for everything we're about to get into. Okay, so let's start by digging into the problem itself. For decades, hospitals have pretty much relied on traditional materials, like vinyl and wallpaper. But the thing is, under the intense 24/7 demands of a modern healthcare environment, these materials just don't hold up. They start to fail, creating risks that are literally right there in front of us. This brings us to a really critical term you need to know: harborage points. So what are they? Well, think about the seams between sheets of wallpaper, or the edge of a piece of vinyl that's starting to peel up. These tiny little imperfections become collection sites, perfect little pockets for moisture and contaminants to gather. And they are incredibly difficult, sometimes even impossible to properly disinfect. And this is where you really see that huge gap between what's promised and what actually happens. Traditional coverings, they're put up to look good, and you assume they're easy to clean. But in a real hospital, the edges start lifting, those seams become traps for germs, and the material itself actually starts to break down from the harsh chemicals needed for proper disinfection. What started out as a simple wall covering very quickly turns into a major maintenance headache and a potential safety risk. Let's break it down even further because the problems are really systemic. First, you've got all those seams and overlaps, which mean you never have a truly continuous cleanable surface. Then there are the adhesives, which can off-gas. And these panels, they get damaged so easily by carts and equipment, especially around the edges. And on top of all that, they generate a ton of PVC waste every time they need to be torn out and replaced, which, believe me, is often. Okay, so we've laid out all the problems with the old way of doing things. So now, what's the answer? What should we be demanding? Let's define the new benchmark, the gold standard for a wall in a modern healthcare facility. A truly modern clinical surface has to check a whole lot of boxes. It must be completely seamless. No gaps, no edges, period. It has to be able to stand up to aggressive hospital-grade cleaning without falling apart. It's got to be tough enough to handle daily bumps from carts and equipment. And so importantly, the installation has to cause as little disruption as possible to patient care, while also giving you the ability to integrate things like wayfinding right into the wall. So what kind of technology can actually do all that? Well, the answer is pretty cool. It's an innovation that completely sidesteps all those old problems by, get this, printing graphics directly onto the wall itself. Now, I want to be super clear here. We're not talking about a giant sticker or some kind of vinyl wrap. Direct-to-wall printing is a technology that literally bonds ink right onto the wall's surface, whether that's drywall, concrete block, or even brick. What you get is a single, solid, monolithic surface. The main takeaway here: no vinyl, no seams, and no adhesives that can fail over time. It becomes part of the wall. And the process itself is just brilliant, especially for a live hospital. After some quick planning, mobile equipment is brought right on site. The graphic is printed and it cures instantly into a super hard, durable film. An entire room or a long corridor can often be finished in less than 5 hours. Think about that. That means minimal downtime and almost no disruption to clinical operations. And the result? It's simple. It's a big, fat 0. By printing directly on the wall, you completely eliminate every single one of those failure points we talked about. 0 seams, 0 adhesives, 0 overlaps. You've designed the harborage points right out of existence. Okay, so the theory sounds amazing, right? But the big question is, how does this technology actually perform in the real world? In the chaotic, demanding environment of a hospital. Let's look at the proof. And this is where it gets really impressive. The durability is just off the charts. That cured surface is incredibly tough. It's engineered to be wiped down constantly with bleach and other harsh disinfectants without a problem. It shrugs off scrapes from carts and equipment, and because it's bonded to the wall, there's no peeling or bubbling. Best of all, when it's time for an update years down the line, you can just paint right over it. Simple as that. But it's not just about being tough. This is where the wall stops being passive and becomes an active, functional part of the building. Imagine color-coded pathways in the emergency department leading people exactly where they need to go. Or beautiful, calming murals in pediatrics that also double as zone markers for staff. You can build directories, checklists, and safety reminders right into the wall, which gets rid of all that sign clutter and just makes things clearer for everyone. So when we step back and look at the big picture, what does all this add up to for a hospital? The value here goes way beyond just looking nice. We're talking about creating an environment that is genuinely smarter, safer, and honestly, much more sustainable. And this chart really lays it all out, side by side. On one hand, you've got the old way. High disruption, multiple weak spots, and incredibly wasteful updates that involve scraping and demolition. But on the other hand, direct-to-wall printing is fast, it has no built-in failure points, it's super durable, and updates are as easy as a coat of paint. The long-term value, the total life cycle efficiency, it's not even a contest. And there's another huge piece to this puzzle we can't ignore, the environmental impact. By completely avoiding PVC-based materials and the constant need to tear down and replace them, this approach dramatically cuts down on landfill waste. It's a way for a healthcare system to make its physical space reflect its larger sustainability goals. So I'll leave you with this thought. Modern healthcare is incredibly dynamic, it's intelligent, and it's always evolving. This technology finally allows the physical environment to keep up. So it really makes you wonder, what if your walls could be more than just barriers? What if they could be an active part of providing safer, more efficient, and more humane care?